Hello and thanks for watching another edition of ARFCOM News. Today I want to tell you about some backstabbing turncoats in Texas, an almost good Alabama law, and what might just be the funniest thing that AFT has ever done. But before we get started, I want to tell you about the fine mahogany night vision products offered to you by our friends at TNVC.com. Artfully handcrafted by earnest, hard-working Amish operators, TNVC night vision is unique and uncompromising, just like you. If you like seeing stuff more than not seeing stuff, take a look at our sponsor, TNVC.com, your source for quality night vision gear to make you the bump in the night. With friends like these, who needs enemas? HB 1927 just passed the Texas House of Representatives, and if it passes the Senate, Texas would join the 20 other free states which recognize the fundamental human right to be armed without seeking the crown's pleasure. But some CHL instructors are joining with Bloomberg's flock of squawking Karens to clutch their pearls about how the world as we know it will come screeching to an apocalyptic halt. It's the end of the world as we know it. If HB 1927 passes. I'm sure it has everything to do with rational concerns and nothing to do with their own selfish interests, even though constitutional carry has not caused any increase in crime in a single one of the 20 states which already recognize the right of the people to keep and bear arms without a state permission slip. Now, don't get me wrong, training is important, and I do believe it should be mandatory, just not as a condition to exercise your rights. I believe age-appropriate gun safety training should be required several times a year in every grade K through 12. I also believe cities, counties, and states should provide free defensive firearms training through their law enforcement agencies to anyone who wishes to attend. Further, hunter safety, gun safety, marksmanship, and defensive firearms class tuition fees from private instructors should be tax deductible. People ought to learn how to handle firearms safely, and they should get advice on holster selection and introduction to the legal issues surrounding the use of force. Finally, before anyone begins to carry a gun, they need to learn how to fight effectively with it and how to avoid a fight if possible. Fighting with a firearm has very little in common with poking holes in a static target on the square range, and situational awareness and de-escalation are a lot more likely to save your life than competent shooting. You can get all of these skills from a qualified instructor, and you should seek out training as often as you are able. I also believe people should receive adequate instruction in the English language before graduating high school, and they should be literate and skilled communicators before posting to social media or writing articles for publication. But I would vehemently oppose any scheme to require training and permit fees as a precondition to exercising your First Amendment rights. And as they say, the pen is mightier than the sword. But like I said, I strongly urge you to get training, just not from any of these three guys, ever. And tell all your friends. George DeLeon, Lon Krieger, and Raul Camacho are the three trainers who spoke out publicly in an attempt to stop constitutional carry in Texas. Besides, they're probably the kind of folks who would tell you to load your home defense shotgun with birdshot or to never carry anything except what local cops carry because something overzealous prosecutor or something. You don't want to take a class from somebody like that anyway, do you? Tell me what you think about these Quizlings down below. While Texan Karens are trying to sink constitutional carry, Alabama is one of the 8 other states with constitutional carry at some point in the legislative process this year. SB 5 would make it legal for any adult who is allowed to buy a handgun to carry concealed without a state permission slip. You might think that would be a slam dunk for a state like Alabama, but as is often the case in other states, SB 5 is opposed by the Alabama Sheriff's Association because they won't give up that filthy lucre. In many states, concealed carry permit fees are pocketed by the relevant county sheriff department, so when bills are introduced to remove the requirement to get a permit, they predictably oppose the interruption of their revenue stream. So that presents us with a problem. Politicrators aren't exactly known for their courage, so none of them are likely to stand up to the sheriffs. I thought maybe we could try passing an intermediate bill which would earmark permit funds for low-income puppies to get literacy help or something like that. You know, the sort of thing only a monster would oppose. That way, the sheriffs couldn't possibly stand there and say they want to keep this money, which could be helping underprivileged puppies learn to read. But then we just shifted the problem, because now when it's time to repeal the permit requirement, only a monster would cut off funding for such an important cause. Except maybe there's some sort of cause that's just good enough the sheriffs can't oppose it, yet not so emotional as to rile people up when it comes time to shut that revenue stream down. Like maybe gun safety education and free trigger locks. What do you think? Can you come up with a use for CCW permit fees which the sheriffs couldn't possibly oppose publicly, and at the same time people wouldn't sharpen their pitchforks over when we want to pass a permitless carry bill? We're going to have to solve this greedy sheriff problem in order to get constitutional carry passed in quite a few states, so comment below and let's get this thing solved. In the meantime, SB 5 looks like it's probably stalled in the Judiciary Committee, so whether or not you live in Alabama, you should do your part and call the chair of the Judiciary Committee, Tom Whatley, at 334-261-0893 and tell him what you think about that. Tell him it's wrong to deny the people their right to be armed for any reason, but tell him it's especially slimy to do it for simple bureaucratic greed. Tell him to grow a spine and at least allow a vote, but if he insists on killing this bill in committee, Alabamans may take some small comfort that the House and Senate have passed SB 308, nice, which allows for a lifetime carry permit. Under current law, when you apply for a permit, you decide how many years you are buying. Fees are determined by each county sheriff, but they're usually about $20 per year. SB 308, nice, would create a lifetime permit fee of $300 for everyone under age 60 or $150 for those over age 60. County sheriffs would still get 80% of the money, but 20% would go to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency to maintain a database of prohibited possessors, which the law also creates. Right now, if a cop pulls someone over, it isn't necessarily easy for them to determine if that person is prohibited from carrying a firearm, but SB 308, nice, would set up a searchable database for LE use only, which could tell officers if the person they stopped for a broken taillight is a prohibited possessor. Although permits will be good for life, sheriffs would automatically run a background check on each permit holder every 5 years, and if they become a prohibited possessor, the permit will be revoked. Personally, I have mixed feelings on this, hence the parenthetical question mark in the text to my right. I'm generally opposed to government lists, and I don't believe there should be such a thing as a prohibited possessor. If someone can't be trusted with a gun, they can't be trusted with motor vehicles or pool chemicals or stabby things, and they should be locked up. I'm opposed to carry permits in general, but if Alabama can't manage to wrestle those funds from the sheriffs, at least this bill reduces the hassle and cost associated with maintaining your state permission slip. Overall, I still think I'm in favor of this bill, but I can understand why you might be opposed. The bill is now awaiting the governor's signature. Should you wish to tell her how you feel about it, you can call Governor Kay Ivey at 334-242-7100. When you're done, leave a comment below and let me know what you think. My. The AFT be getting bold under Sniffy Joe's regime, ain't they? I thought this ATF gift shop was a hoax at first, and when I started digging, it looked more and more like it really was a hoax. The website is just hot garbage and looks like a middle schooler's class project. It's not on a .gov domain, and the domain it's at produces nothing useful with a whois lookup. If this were a private company, I would conclude all this adds up to solid evidence it's a scam. But it's pretty believable for a government agency. Then one of the smart fellows on our Facebook page found a link to this gift shop on the AFT's website. Sure enough, if you go to atf.gov/resource-center and click on ATF gift shop on the left, it redirects you to this page where they are unironically selling stuffed plush puppers. I can't make this stuff up, folks. The description literally says, Butter the Yellow Lab proves that dynamite comes in small packages. At this point, I'm dying. And for the life of me, I legit can't tell if they're honestly this tone deaf or if they are being meta AF. I mean, they have to be aware of the Tannerite dog memes, and it seriously strains credibility to think they are unaware of their own reputation with dogs, you know? But according to some of the fine folks in the AR15.com general discussion thread, the AFT is actually very proud of their explosives and arson dogs. I honestly had no idea arson dogs were a thing. Seems mighty irresponsible to me, and horrifyingly inhumane for that matter. It does shed some light on that suspicious fire David Chipman was involved in Texas, though. The funny thing is, as terrible as their e-commerce site is, they'll probably process orders faster than the AFT processes tax stamps. Now, I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble, but it would be pretty funny if it became a tradition to order one of these cute little lap dogs and have them shipped to every politicritter who votes for infringements. Jokes aside, I really am having some trouble believing the AFT is this clueless. There are basically two rational possibilities. One is that a government agency really is this monumentally stupid, clueless, and totally lacking in self-awareness. Now that I say it out loud, I guess it's not too hard to believe. But the other possibility is they did it on purpose, and they are either threatening or trolling us, or both. What do you think? Is this just typical vanilla government stupidity? Or is this intentional? Well, friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoy watching these things because I sure like making them for you. You folks are always asking me where I find my fly shirts, so this time I put a link to the shirt I'm wearing down there in the doobly-doo. But if you want to try your luck and see if you can win this rad shirt, post a comment containing the phrase Danger Zone in the YouTube comments, and I will arbitrarily and unilaterally choose the best one. If you want to help us keep bringing you banger content like this, please support the folks who support us. Not only does TNVC.com give you night vision with that cool, refreshing, never bitter taste that goes down smooth, they also have mounts, lights, and all sorts of other gear to make you the bump of the night. I love you.